to the Pershing Square Green Room interviews. How have you been?
Doing well. It's as well as can be during this wild time in events and live music.
Adam and I have worked together a couple of years, and he's a an event producer, and he's put on a couple of events here, right? A couple, one or two, three.
Yeah, we've done a couple events at Pershing Square and about 25 events in LA City over the past few years since we created the company.
Tell us about your company, what sort of events you do, and some of the people you've worked with, and not only in Los Angeles, but tell us all the places, the exciting places that you've done your events.
Yeah, so it's myself and my partner, Craig Pettigrew. I had a background in events through Red Bull, working for a variety of branded events and helping others do their events on part of the brand. And Craig ran a festival in Playa del Carmen called BPM Festival that brought performers from all over the world down to Mexico. 5 years ago, we found a beautiful site in Chinatown and put it together to do more of a European style open outdoor show, which we didn't see happening in LA at the time.
What's that called?
It was called Rumors Chinatown. And that was the beginning of it. And we did it for a few years, just getting really interesting, mostly European DJs together. And it had no name. We just listed it for that brand or by that artist. And Craig actually had the idea that we should call it something. So 3 years ago, we created Future Primitive, which is actually a nod to the old Pal Peralta skateboard world, which was their first skate video. So that was the old days of, Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk, and Future Primitive was their first video. So we liked the name. It was kind of a nod to what's old and new, and we've been jamming since. So yeah, we do about 5 or 6 shows a year. We're pretty choosy with the shows, and only work generally with artists that we know personally. It always makes it for a better show.
What brought you to Pershing Square?
I think for me, I've had a little bit of background in real estate, and I always love downtown. I just think it's such a at one point it was an unpolished jewel, and now it's getting cleaner and more unique as time goes on. But there's so many great venues, and we had some success throwing shows in downtown because I think the crowd's there. It's young, it's dynamic, it's multi-ethnic, and I kept seeing Pershing Square, not knowing any of the summer concert series you guys already throw. Just thought it would make sense, but it's a big space, so we knew we needed to have a bigger show. And when we had successfully thrown a few in Chinatown, we had started to sell out, and we needed more space. And I just walked through, and it's always well maintained, and the grass is green, and kind of lucked out in running into you and the team, and you guys are adept at doing it, and it's permitted for live shows, so it all kind of worked out together. But a lot of people had doubts about the location or thinking it was too much in the city, which I thought would be advantageous to it. And I think it was.
Tell us about all the other locations and exotic areas you have done your shows in.
Yeah. So, our music, I'd say, in Europe, you'd call it techno. In the US, it's kind of more of a underground house music, comes from, Detroit and Chicago in the 80s and has become very popular in Europe. So the home of that is kind of in Ibiza, and we've worked with Rumors in Ibiza and Paradise in Ibiza, which are 2 famous party brands that kind of spawned from the island, and they have shows all over the world. We've done pop-ups in Mykonos, which has become a real hot spot over the past couple of years. It's kind of having a resurgence as well for events. It had its time in the 80s and was very sexy and, LGBTQ and very, very cool. And then it just became just a ritzy place. And now it's become a place for parties. And we've done now 3 years in a row at Art Basel in Miami, which is always a great crowd. We did a Rumors pop up, did a few thousand people right on the marina by all the yachts, very successful this last December. And to show how large this is getting, we also were the first partners on the Paradise Show at the Wynn at XS Las Vegas, which was kind of a risk for them to do this type of music. They're more in the traditional EDM, and it went very successful. We did Paradise Halloween a few years ago. So, we like LA. We're from here, and this is where we want to focus. But when the opportunity arises to do something throughout the world, we still do it.
When we think about any event, but especially your type of DJ event, there's a definite need for an audience synergy. So if you could, like, what are the top 3 effective producer tools for that sort of an event to keep it going and keep that energy flowing throughout artist to audience all through?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we always look at it from a fan perspective. Craig and I are lucky, he works in hospitality, and so do I, working in the hotel and restaurant world and events. And we go to events all over the world, and we can tell when a promoter is looking at it from a fan perspective. So it's everything from, making sure the fencing and the entrance experience has, nice scrim and the security's been briefed to be friendly to the guests, to coming in and having the decor. I mean, the decor is huge. And I think a lot of people just, decorate the stage and the site's left kind of empty. And we like to bring in foliage and nice, Moroccan rugs for the backstage and bring in, good lighting for the bars. And that brings to the other thing is, we want really high quality drinks. We always have a mixology section and, serve well-priced, known brands. I find it so frustrating when you go to a show and it's expensive and they're serving some vodka or tequila you've never heard of, and you kind of feel like you're getting the wool pulled over your eyes. So I think, and then the production, you've met some of our vendors, James and George and Sonic Lab Audio, and they really know what they're doing. I mean, you got to have great sound for this type of music. So I'd say production and sound, a really good decor team, and just caring about that fan experience, like having, something experiential, having those, photo opportunities, that Instagrammable moment.
From Burning Man down to, I don't know, any community fair, why do you think art has become so important to these sorts of events?
Well, I think it just, ignites the fans' imagination first off, and something that you see at Burning Man can have that sense of awe because it's just can be so large or interactive. I think there's a couple of people that have gotten amazing with light and neon sculpture that kind of really activates it at night, but it's also that socially shareable world we're in. People just want to take photos and, share and, prove to their friends that they were having a great time, and it's fun to do it in front of art and take video of it. And I think it's an important part of it. It can be pretty cheesy as well. You want to we always stay away, like those big festivals have the the Honda stage or some car to pose in front of. We want to be careful and keep it non-branded, and we're lucky we have a third partner named Gian, who is an amazing creative and works with a ton of local artists, and that they created that cube sculpture that we had for the Intervision show. But I think the fan just expects to not have just a plain site, like something like Pershing Square. It's a beautiful canvas, but it's a blank canvas, and you have to have those experiential elements, even just like when you're selling merch, like the merch stand should have some sort of experience. You can walk into a shipping container, or it has a cool neon over it. You don't just want like t-shirts sitting on a picnic table, right? So it's having that extra layer, and it can be expensive, but I think Burning Man specifically, for the larger shows, it spins off so much art. Like if you go to Coachella, you'll see pieces recycled, if you will, from Burning Man and vice versa. So they use
We did that as well. We had an art festival, a 3-day art festival down here, and we did bring in some pieces from I think it was Burning Man, maybe it was Coachella, I'm not sure, but I think it was Burning Man. And then of course we ourselves have found that as we filled Pershing Square with art and murals and sculptures, I mean, it has just a great effect on people. And when you add the musical experience, it becomes cybernetic.
Exactly. And, Pershing Square has that interesting architecture on the rim that is, multicolored and lends itself to projection. We didn't get around to it but, on a future show, we'll definitely use some of those large concrete areas to project and light. I think it's kind of made for
Oh yeah,
it.
they're great. We've done it. It is really great. A lot of folks, when the virus hit, a lot of creative artists were thinking about, gee, what shall we do? And then they started to go online and virtually put music together. And in the beginning, not all of it was that great. And then as the months went on, we noticed that artists were working more with technicians and audio and video and computer people, and their presentation was becoming better. We ourselves did a virtual, our summer series went virtual. But I'm wondering, you don't see that much in the DJ world. I think we were talking a couple of days ago, and Sophie and Tucker, who we've had on our stage, Sophie Tucker, they do one on a regular basis. How do you think, DJ music transcends to or transitions into the virtual world? And how does it reach expand?
It doesn't seem to transition that well. We were, just like any promoter, kind of shocked when this happened with the pandemic, and then trying to figure out how to pivot. And at first it was like, okay, let's bounce the shows back. And then it became apparent that probably, no shows were going to happen in 2020. And then it was like, okay, some people are doing some streaming, like, how's it look? And it just, DJing is a little awkward when the DJ is just standing there alone. That energy around the DJ is what makes part of the show great. So if the dance floor is empty, okay, we can get around that. But then with, COVID, you can't even have fans or people stand around the DJ. So, I mean, the famous one from YouTube is the Boiler Room. And that is a shot of the DJ with maybe 30 to 40 people standing behind them. And that's why people watch it, is kind of the interaction behind them, or is that guy talking to that girl or whatever. So, I've seen a couple ones. There is a company out of Europe called Circle that takes footage of DJs in beautiful locations, and they have a cinematic appeal, but it doesn't really lend itself to it, in my opinion. I really applaud everyone for trying, because, like, what are they supposed to do? Just sit on their hands and give up? Like, the promoters like Insomniac that, make a full business out of this, they have to keep it going, and they're trying with production and doing their best. And I think I admire that. But for us, it's like, okay, do we move into drive-ins? Some people have had some success with that.
What do you think of that? I mean, I saw something on Facebook. I know staff and I were discussing it, where I think it's in Europe. They have like little 10 by 10 platforms where people are watching the show, and their platforms are 10 feet apart. That might work for a certain type of artist, but I don't think it'll work for all artists. And then, when I look at it, the production value of the concert series has to go way up because you need to put on more video walls, a more, you know, wow factor on the stage. So did you get a chance to look at that by any chance?
Yeah, no, I saw it. That was, got a lot of press as kind of the first live show that was non-drive-through, and I think, yeah, maybe for rock or jazz or blues, it could work. It feels a little odd for more high-energy music, and then, like you said, the production cost is just stratospheric because you have to amp up the stage because people aren't having that experience. Plus, build all the pods. Listen, if you're a big company that has to throw shows and you have to innovate and maybe, the financials don't have to work out, you can try it. But Craig and I feel pretty resolute that, we will get through this at some point. And when people feel safe to gather, there'll be a lot of pent up demand, and we'll just wait until that happens. Some of our DJs we've worked with have done some smaller shows and Saint Tropez and Italy, down in Naples, and so it's starting in Europe. People are feeling comfortable getting together, 500 to 1,000 people. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, I don't think we as Future Prune have seen anything compelling enough to really go out and do it. Although I totally applaud everyone trying.
I do too, but yeah, I haven't found what I think is the key to one DJ music, and even the key to a general setup that will work for every type of music. Maybe that platform type situation would work more with something a little bit more mellow, a Fleetwood Mac, something like that, James Taylor, Jane Blossom, something like that.
Sit on a platform and have some wine to some, Fleetwood sounds amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You could do a festival anywhere in the world right now. And they said, okay, you can do it anywhere in the world and your permit fees are nil. Where do you think you'd go?
For me, there's a amazing place on the coast of Mexico called Costa Correas, kind of undeveloped between Puerto Vallarta and Manzanillo. It's a lot of villas. If you Google image it, it's just beautiful big homes with this beach, and that's one of the most picturesque places in the world. I also like the desert, the high desert. I think that has some really cool mountain ranges and visuals outside of the Palm Springs area, not like Coachella on the grass, but actually out kind of in the wilderness has always been a big dream of ours. So yeah, those two are things that we'd love to do sometime internationally and closer to home.
Thank you so much for jumping in during your day and speaking with us. It's always a pleasure working with you, Adam. Say hi to all the guys and gals on your team from us, and we look forward to working for you again. I still have a date on hold for you, I think.
Yep. Calendar it now, June 5th and 6th, 2021 for the third annual Paradise in the Park. It's our biggest show, and we had a big lineup for Pershing Square this year. So we've been able to, secure everyone, and everyone's excited from the talent perspective. And if if everything's okay and people feel safe to gather and the city lets us, we'll do it next year with you guys. So we're looking forward to it.
Okay, we'll see you there.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Bye-bye.